Thank you for joining us on Career Ferry. Today we're looking at another startup, another really cool startup actually, which is SNAQ. So Nico, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a few things about SNAQ, like a little bit about your background, when did you start, what you're doing, a few things like that?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Nico Previtali and I'm the CTO and co-founder of SNAQ. I have a background in engineering, so I did my bachelor and master's at ETH here in Zurich, where I focused on machine learning and computer vision. So we founded SNAQ 1.5 years ago, and the idea is to manage the impact of food on your health, which basically means you take a picture of the meal in front of you and you get all the nutritional facts. It says it's a banana, it's white rice, it's that weight, for example, 150 grams, and it contains that many calories or energy. And based on that, we give you recommendations dependent on some goal. For example, you want to lose weight, which is more on the lifestyle side, or you have a chronic disease like diabetes and you want to manage your glucose levels. So the idea comes from Aurelian's girlfriend. He's my co-founder, and his girlfriend has type 1 diabetes. And when you have type 1 diabetes, you need to know very accurately the amount of carbs in the meal in front of you, because that determines the amount of insulin you're going to inject into your body. And people do that by guessing. So there is no way to kind of really know how many carbs there are inside. So people look at the meal and they guess the weight and they know, okay, roughly 80 grams of white rice has that many carbohydrates. And then they adjust the insulin and inject. And most of the time, this process is very error prone and the people then feel bad, they get dizzy, anxious, and so on. So that's how the whole idea started, because I already looked at it and saw it many times how a girlfriend did it and that she felt very bad afterwards and thought, okay, maybe there's a better solution. And then we started looking at it and then we saw there is no technical solution to this problem, and that's how we started the company.
Okay, really cool. So you're replacing a process which didn't work very well before SNAQ, right? And which now works better and much faster, I guess, right?
Exactly. So at least that's the whole idea started. So if you want to go onto market with this kind of solution in the diabetes space, you're a medical device, so you can't put your product on market without regulations. That's why we did a preclinical study to assess the accuracy, basically. It's very accurate. It's around 10% in terms of the weight error. But now we're more focusing on the lifestyle segment. So where there are no regulations, where you can go much faster and put your product on the market as well. However, we're still kind of following the medical path as well, but it takes just longer.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're not an entire API or just an API. So we deliver the entire stack basically. So which means the API and a front end. And we offer our service to other companies, which then integrate our product into their existing products. So we're not focusing the end client. It's not B2C, we're B2B. For example, existing customers are health insurances, medtech companies, or small apps.
Maybe we can go into the questions that you guys have already asked. So one of the first questions was, how much experience do you expect from someone who would apply to SNAQ? Can you tell us a bit about that? So you need someone who's very senior with a lot of experience, or are you open to someone who's maybe a bit newer in the industry?
So the current position is a full stack position with a focus on front end, preferably. And for that position, we're looking for someone who has industry experience. Doesn't mean that you should have like 10 years of experience, but you should have done at least an internship or worked for 1 or 2 years. So I would say for this position, it's not junior, not senior, but something in the middle.
Something in the middle.
Yeah. In general, this means you should feel comfortable with dealing with all kinds of algorithms from the back end to the front end. However, in terms of kind of preferences, we're looking more for a front-end guy who really knows how to build an extendable front-end, which is customizable by our clients. However, it's kind of, we don't have like this fixed set of skills the person needs to have. So much more important is that you kind of fit to the team, that you're a cool person, you're open-minded, and you're willing to learn. I think this is much more important. And these are especially the the metrics we're looking at, and then the skills are second.
Definitely. Okay, next question. Yeah, so what stage is your startup at? That's an interesting question. So basically, how big are you? So we mentioned it quite just before, but basically, how far along are you guys?
So we founded the company 1.5 years ago. We already have customers. So most of them are in pilot stage. So which means they have the product integrated into their existing products. They shipped it to kind of pilot customers, which kind of test it, give us feedback and so on. Then we iterate a little bit more, and eventually we'll go to the market with most of them by the end of the year, latest. We already have customers which are in production with our solution. Okay. These are mostly smaller apps or mid-sized apps. Some customers are based in the app sector, basically, so they have their app and they want to augment it with food intake, basically analysis. Most of the customers are health insurances, so they kind of integrate it into their existing programs to offer their clients a nutrition analysis solution, which guides them towards their goal to lose weight, to do the next marathon, or to manage a chronic disease. And we also have pilot customers in the medtech sector, where it's a lot more about chronic disease management.
Okay. That's the more challenging environment, I guess, right? To develop for.
Depends what you define as challenging in terms of it's the most challenging in terms of the accuracy, because these are the people who need to know it very accurately.
Okay. Very cool. If someone was to join SNAQ, would you consider someone to work part?
Of course. Not for this position I mentioned earlier, especially. For this, we're looking for someone who's joining us full-time. But of course, we're open to kind of take any part-time employees, maybe also interns. It really depends the position. But yes, it's definitely an option. Just drop me a mail, Nico with a C @snaq.io.
I think one last question. That's a cool question, I think. So once the person will join, are there any specific tasks that you will assign to this person, or is it still like totally open and it depends obviously on the person that joins, right?
It depends on the person who joins, but in generally, I think it's very open. So, as a small startups, tasks and priorities, they change frequently. So I would expect that it's not kind of you're narrowed down at that particular task for a lot of time. However, you definitely would do a lot of front-end stuff, which means you build customizable components which are reusable and configurable by our clients in a manner which is kind of really flexible. It's a very general solution.
Yeah, it sounds very open, but it sounds pretty challenging as well, I guess, right? So you're building a front end that people can customize them for their own personal needs, basically.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Yeah, sounds cool. Okay, so I think we went through like the main questions that people asked on the Career Fair website. If you guys have a YouTube channel account, you can also ask questions on the chat, which is on the right of your page. If you don't, you can also still ask questions on the Career Fair website as well. Can I do my master thesis at SNAQ?
Yeah. We've never done it before, but sure, we would be open to talk about it, yes. I think this is not a question which just depends on us. I think that we would need to find kind of some collaboration with the university, wherever you're studying at. But yes, we're definitely open to discuss that.
So we have another question that just came in, right? For the full-time position, what technology expertise is expected? We kind of answered that question already, right? But if this person just joined in, maybe you can just repeat it.
So for the full-time position, we are looking for a person who has full stack background with a focus on front end. In terms of the technology, we're using Java and Python in the back end, and we're using Vue in the front end. And we're also using React Native in the front end.
And I think a question which I think is like really interesting for you guys. Where do you get your data from, right? So machine learning to be accurate needs a lot of data, right? To train your models. Where do you get your data, your food data from, basically? Food images?
Yeah, from our users, basically.
From your users, okay.
Exactly. So the entire process is structured that way that the users, they generate the images. Of course, they upload it to our servers.
Yeah.
Then we take the images, we label them, feed it back to the machine learning algorithms, which then improve over time.
Okay. Sounds really cool. And what aspect of like nutritional analysis is more challenging for you? Is it more like the quantity of food in an image? Is it the type of food? Can you explain a bit like what?
So basically, from a technical perspective, there are two main challenges.
Yeah.
So one main challenge, or the most challenging part, is that you need to accurately determine the nutritional content. You need to know the weight of each food item, and you need to know it from one picture.
Yeah.
So that's the most challenging part. And the other part is food recognition as an intrinsic. It's intrinsically very hard because there is so many foods, and a lot of foods look different, which are from the same category, from example ravioli, and a lot of food look completely similar, which are from different categories. I don't know, you name it, there are a lot of them. And this is very hard. So you need to have a classifier which can very accurately distinguish these kind of foods.
Okay. And I mean, I see tons of challenges just thinking about the problem, because I mean, if you take a picture from a plate, for example, right? If there's even food, probably there's going to be part of the food that you can't even see on the image, right? All these elements you have to neglect, basically, right?
Exactly.
So if you guys, again, if you have any more questions for SNAQ, you can just check out, first of all, the profile that we did for SNAQ on Career Fairy, right? It's right under the live stream presentation tag that you can see on the homepage. But if you have a question for Nico, particularly for the position, I guess you can just write him an email, right? It's
of course, yeah.
Nico@snaq.io. Sorry,
yes, Nico with a C.
Nico with a C. Okay,
cool,
awesome.
Thank you
so much, Nico, and thank you guys for tuning in. And
bye, guys.
we'll hopefully see you for the next live stream. Thanks.